Hi, my name's Cordy, and it's very perceptive of you to end up on this channel, and I'm glad you left that comment. Thanks for the suggestion. Obviously, today I was asked to check out the Cory Wong plugin from Neural DSP, and since I've just got this new computer, I thought maybe it's worth trying some of this plugin stuff again. In the past, I should say. One of my reservations is that I have this latency issue, which although it's not kind of immediately perceptible necessarily, although it is right now, when you go back and listen to the recording of what you've played, you find that there's quite a bit of timing issues. When I'm playing the Neural DSP plugin as a standalone plugin, this isn't the case and everything's fine. But when I start to introduce it into the digital audio workstation, as I do when I'm recording stuff, when I monitor it, you might hear. You start to get this latency thing happening, and depending on how loud you've got your PC in relation to how loud your guitar string noise is, you may not perceive the latency, and what you actually end up doing, or I end up doing, is playing ahead of the beat to bring what I'm hearing out the speakers in time. So this is my main issue with plugins for my system. I've got a relatively old interface still, a Lexicon U42S, so maybe this is not so much of an issue for new interfaces, so that's a caveat. But this is why I'm relatively agnostic about using plugins still for me, because latency creeps in. So what I did when I'd gone back and checked on my recording and checked out the playing was just drag everything forward so that I'm not rushing ahead so much. So that aside, I think the Cory Wong, I've checked out the main thing that I like on it is the tube Snob or amp Snob. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but supposedly it's some sort of Dumble thing. To me it sounds quite a lot like a TrainWreck. Where it's got that kind of raspy, voxy, bright thing going on. I think it sounds great. But I am having to contend with the latency issue that is happening. So what I did in this video is I tried to put together something roughly similar on the HX Stomp. If you're not a regular viewer, you know, or I'll tell you now that I'm a Helix, HX Stomp, but also fractal audio user. And I've dabbled with the Head Rush gig board and the Hotone Ampero as well as a Kemper. So I'm not exactly loyal to anything. I use the HX Stomp and Helix a tad more, just because that's what I've got comfortable using. But if something came along that sounded 100 times better, I think I'd probably just move along to it. I think where a plugin like this might be useful would be for reamping. So although I can't use it particularly to track because of the latency issues that I talk about, a Neural DSP plugin, whether it's Cory Wong or Pliny, I really like the Pliny one as well. Pliny, is it Pliny? I don't know how you're saying that. But this latency issue is sort of why I'm excited to see what the Quad Cortex is like when it comes out, because I think the sounds coming out from Neural DSP are really decent and it responds to pickup changes nicely. So responds to volume knob and pickup changes as you'd expect, really. And there's kind of this clarity to the stuff which seems to be part of that kind of Neural DSP footprint, which is not a bad thing, I think. It's got this kind of hi-fi quality to it. Maybe you might kind of call it hyper-realistic. So I think the sounds are going to be there when the quad cortex comes out, which is a good thing. I'm on the waiting list personally. I don't know whether things are to schedule or ahead of schedule, or COVID potentially has wreaked havoc on pretty much everything. So I don't know that we could expect Neural DSP to be immune to those. And I will say, I think the delays and reverbs that Neural DSP are coming out with seem to be really pleasant. That was one of the things that perhaps I felt was a bit missing with the Headrush gig board, and a bit missing with the Hotone Ampero. So overall, I would say I think it sounds great. If you're doing if you use it as a standalone plugin, the latency's really kind of not an issue for me with this system. If I'm using it in a recording in the DAW, there are still some issues for me, and iLock is a bit of an irritation for me, I have to say. But once you get it going, I think it's pretty easy to find some decent tones. I'd say don't be afraid to mix and match the cabinets across each. So find the cabinet you like and feel free to switch the amp out. I kind of like the first cabinet. But could I use these tones? Yes, absolutely. So it'll be exciting to see them kind of ported across to a hardware. The quad cortex, excited to see what that sounds like. Now I'm going to end with kind of my tone, which I'm trying to approximate this in the HX Stomp, and so I'll play out with a solo through both Cory Wong and also the HX Stomp, and you can get that preset in the description if you want it. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully this was useful and maybe slightly interesting. More than anything, I wanted to see if this new computer system that I've got could run these plugins with less latency. But yeah, hopefully you got something out of it, and if you could like and subscribe, that'd be really cool. The backing tracks will go up on my Patreon if you request them, and yeah, there's a buy me a coffee link just in case you find this really interesting and you could afford to. But thank you for watching. Cheers. Mm-hmm.